Welcome back to Skytech-Lens. Let's talk about farming, not the postcard version but the reality today. Once the backbone of America, farming is now in crisis, thanks to policies that were supposed to protect but instead have devastated rural communities. The tariff wall, meant to shield American industries, has trapped farmers, cutting them off from global markets they spent decades building. By mid-2025, U.S. agricultural export losses hit $28.40 billion, money that could have paid mortgages, sent kids to college, or kept small towns alive. For every dollar lost here, 80 cents landed in the pockets of farmers in Mexico and Canada. This isn't a trade war, it's a self-inflicted wound. We'll break down how tariffs backfired, slashing exports of everything from Iowa corn to Kentucky bourbon. Then, we'll see how Canadian and Mexican farmers seized the moment, ramping up production and signing new deals with the markets America abandoned. The fallout has been immense, touching not just farmers but entire communities. The path forward is uncertain, clouded by political gridlock. The American farmer, once the nation's bedrock, is now left to navigate a hostile landscape created by their own government. For decades, American farmers grew more because the world wanted to buy it. That changed overnight when tariffs went up. The idea make foreign goods pricier, force fair play. The reality global trade is a two-way street and others hit back, hard. China, a top buyer, slapped a 25% tariff on U.S. corn and soybeans, shutting out a multi-billion-dollar market. Corn exports dropped 38% in volume, 42% in revenue. Iowa lost a quarter of its contracts with China, a $2 billion blow. Silos meant for export sat full, a daily reminder of lost income. Soybeans and bourbon suffered too. The EU's tariff on American bourbon cratered sales while Scottish whiskey filled the gap. This wasn't a blip, it was a structural collapse. U.S. agricultural export revenues fell 8% in 2 years, devastating in an industry with razor-thin margins. America's reputation as the world's breadbasket? Gone. The world found other suppliers, and U.S. policies handed them our market share on a silver platter. Now, American farmers face full silos and empty wallets. The numbers aren't just statistics. They're the story of a global power willingly giving up its throne. The world moved on, and American agriculture is left behind. While American farmers struggled, Mexico and Canada saw opportunity. As U.S. exports shrank, their combined agricultural exports surged by $22.7 billion in a single year. Global buyers didn't wait. They simply rerouted orders to Guadalajara and Saskatchewan. Mexico and Canada became the new faces of stability, while U.S. farm income plummeted. Canada's agricultural sector celebrated double-digit export growth. The U.S. faced a 14% drop. The lesson in a global economy? You can't wall yourself off without consequences. Markets always find a new path. America's retreat didn't punish adversaries, it empowered neighbors. The boom in Canada and Mexico is the mirror image of America's bust. Mexico moved fast to capitalize on America's missteps, with corn at the center. In early 2025, Mexican corn exports jumped 26%, fueled by new deals with China and Europe. EU green investment modernized Mexican farms, making their corn cheaper and greener, perfect for climate-conscious buyers. Mexican ranchers and distillers also filled gaps left by U.S. products, even inventing corn mezcal to replace tariffed American bourbon in Europe. While the U.S. looked inward, Mexico innovated, invested, and built a resilient export economy. They didn't just take America's customers, they built a better future. Corn mezcal became the symbol of turning crisis into triumph. Canada, meanwhile, quietly seized its moment. As U.S. wheat became pricier, buyers turned to Canada, where wheat exports soared 18% in value and 21% in volume. Canadian canola filled a third of the EU's vegetable oil shortfall, markets once dominated by U.S. soybeans. For every pound of canola sold, Canadian farmers earned more, while U.S. soybean farmers lost money. Canada's open trade policy and reliability made it the new go-to supplier. The U.S. learned the hard way, indispensability is an illusion. Canada didn't just take market share, they earned it. The quiet Canadian coup was a masterclass in seizing opportunity. In the U.S., the trade war's impact was painfully real. A crackdown on migrant labor left California crops rotting in the fields, $500 million in losses, and livelihoods destroyed. Export collapse and low prices squeezed farmers, while banks doubled interest rates, making loans unaffordable. Equipment sales tanked, rural businesses shuttered, and agricultural jobs fell by nearly 10%. Then, a screwworm outbreak hit Texas livestock, costing millions more. Mexico, with EU help, controlled the outbreak and raised meat exports, turning another US crisis into their gain. The result, a hollowed-out rural economy, with lost jobs and shuttered towns. The pain wasn't just financial, it was the unraveling of rural America. While the US struggled, competitors thrived. The trade war's true cost was measured in lost communities. The crisis wasn't just about markets, it was worsened by self-inflicted policy chaos. The USDA was gutted, key staff left, and vital data and support programs stalled. Farmers couldn't get relief funds, $700 million in debt defaults piled up, regional food hub funding vanished, cutting off small farmers from local markets. National security policies blocked foreign investment, killing jobs and supply chains. The result, farmers faced closed export markets, dismantled support systems, and lost investment. America's research edge faded as talent left for other countries. The Heartland was paralyzed by a perfect storm of bad decisions. The cost lost innovation, lost opportunity, and a future slipping away. With crisis everywhere, Washington delivered only gridlock. The obvious fixes, lower tariffs, reform immigration, are blocked by political dogma. Tariffs became a symbol of sovereignty, lowering them is seen as surrender. Immigration reform is branded as amnesty and goes nowhere. Farmers are trapped between warring ideologies, offered sympathy but no solutions. Real-world problems, debt, bankruptcy, rotting crops, are ignored in favor of partisan soundbites. As politicians posture, the Heartland continues to bleed. The last few years have left American agriculture scarred and uncertain. Tariffs meant to protect have isolated and impoverished farmers while competitors thrive. Lost exports, rotting crops, and empty silos are the legacy of failed policy. Mexico and Canada have built new lasting trade relationships and reputations for reliability. Rebuilding trust won't be easy, buyers have moved on. With political gridlock and dismantled support systems, farmers face an uncertain future. If nothing changes, small farms will vanish and rural America will be forever altered. Promised greatness, America's farmers have harvested only disappointment. Thanks for watching a video, and subscribe the channel Skytech-Lens for more updates. Thanks.